Hari Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Veeryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Om Sri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Hari Om. We are in the Samanvaya Adhikarana of the first Adhyaya of the Shankara Bhashya, which is popularly called as Shankara Bhashya, but as Acharya called it, it is called Sharirika Bhashya, which is the commentary on the Brahma Sutra. The whole content of Brahma Sutra and the commentaries upon it by different acharyas appears to be a mind-boggling, intellectually taxing exercise. And a question comes to mind that why it is so difficult, so complicated, so taxing for the brain or the intellect, and why the effort should be made at all to understand this particular scripture. At the same time, Brahma Sutra has been given the status of one of the top 3 scriptures, which are called ultimate scriptures in terms of Prasthanatrayi. So why is it that so much of importance is ascribed to the scripture called Brahma Sutra? And one line answer to this is because it deals with the ultimate reality. We are accustomed to listen to the statements in a very casual manner. When someone tells us that Brahma is ultimate reality, we just listen to it, but it doesn't really reverberate inside or strikes the right chord in our thinking. Why is it so? Because the world that we live in, we are so much immersed into it that our mind, our intellect is tuned to, accustomed to think in a particular manner. We do not think out of the box, as they say, because we have been boxed inside for a very long time. Just let us take one small example to clarify this point. We all are concerned about the environment and what would happen to the earth, and if the man continues to degrade the environment, how bad it is for the climate, for the sustainability, for the environment, etc. We are definitely concerned about our survival, our making money, our children, our relationship, our wife, our husband, our children, our education, our scientific progress, our Nobel Prizes. So much immersed we are in this that we never ever stop and think who created the whole universe. One, what is the purpose behind this creation? Two, and three, do I know the creation at all? We are constantly basking in the idea that we are the most intelligent species on earth and we know everything. For example, we are aware of the distances and we are proud of the fact that we are able to cover long distances with the help of the aircraft and spacecraft. But to just give an example, the nearest galaxy that we have close to us is called Canaris Major Dwarf. It's a part of Milky Way. Canaris Major Dwarf is the closest galaxy that we have. Now, suppose we decide to know what that galaxy is like, because this galaxy's presence is definitely ascertained by the scientists and through the telescope. If I decide to travel to Canaris Major Dwarf, even at the speed of the light is 300,000 kilometers per second. 300,000 kilometers per second. If at this speed, if I travel to reach to the nearest galaxy called Canaris Major Dwarf, it will take 780 crore years. 780 crore light years. So that means in our parlance, the number of years, if we calculate to reach to the nearest galaxy, it will be 318 raised to 15. That means 15 zeros on 315 is the number of years that one would require to reach to the nearest galaxy. Now, this is just to give an astronomical concept of distance. We have no idea why the Milky Way or the galaxies are existing. Why unimaginably heavy planets. Our Earth itself is a heavy object, but that would appear to be a piece of small speck of dust. That is the size of planets and stars we have, which are absolutely floating in the space. We have no idea why they exist. We know they exist, but why, we have no idea. All this description is basically to make us understand that there are so many things which we are not aware. We are entirely engrossed into what we think as our world and our necessities and essentialities. But factually, we do not know what precisely the world is, one. And to think that this world had a beginning and it will have an end, that means there is something other than the creation that is existing, is very difficult for the imagination even to reach. The creation itself is extremely difficult to be fathomed by the help of the intellect that we have. To know when the universe started, science is struggling for n number of years, giving approximately 14.9 or 15 billion years as its age, which is still not certain. The latest concept of astronomy, astrophysics, which tells us that the galaxies are still expanding, so we do not know the end of the entire universe. The universe are is still expanding. It is in expanding state. So we do not know the end of the created universe. We also do not know whether we have one universe or many universes called multiverse. A simple prayer in Hinduism called Ananta Koti Brahmanda Nayak Raja Dhiraj Yogiraj. This is how the yogi is described. Ananta Koti Brahmanda Nayak. One Brahmanda is one universe. Ananta Koti Brahmanda. The concept of enormousness of this creation. And this creation is expected to have a beginning and an end because it is not permanent. If this is so, then what is permanent? What was there before the universe was there? What will be there after the universe was there? This is the inquiry done through purely the help of intellect, through a refinement that requires a sadhana, so that one has the flight of consciousness required to understand in width and depth the entire creation and something beyond the creation, to ascertain the ultimate reality behind all that is appearing, is the subject of Upanishads. And rightfully so, it is bound to be extremely difficult to understand. On the top of it, further made mysterious by the utterances of the Rishis. That is the reason why Brahma Sutra takes on the subject of this reality head on. That is why it declares in the first sutra itself that the subject matter is atha ataha Brahma Jidnyasa. The inquiry, the investigation, the thorough and in-depth etiological analysis of reality. Satyam, what is the truth? What is the ultimate reality? And naturally, it is not going to be an easy exercise, because you are not dealing with even a small invention or a discovery for a research scientist is quite a taxing affair, taking number of years to really come to the conclusion. Then to know the reality is not an exercise that can be done casually by a casual mind, but it requires, it remains a prerogative of that intellect which has the capacity to expand itself and thoroughly analyze the reality and its principle. To analyze that, there is no instrument that you have in your hand. The most sophisticated instrument that the human being has are the indriyas, which are the panchendriyas, and the mind called the shasthani indriyani. Manaha shastha indriya. Even with mind and the five indriyas, it is impossible to stretch ourselves to the maximum. The limitation of indriyas is absolutely clear to us. There is no way you can see a galaxy from here with your naked eye. That itself indicates that your indriya is incompetent as far as astronomical distances are concerned. Even with telescope, we are finding it extremely difficult to see certain things. Every day and every now and then in astrophysics, new discoveries are coming. If the indriyas have their own limitations, including the mind, how do I undertake the research, the investigation to know the ultimate reality? That is the reason you first come to a point where you want to know, where do I start? Where do I learn this? And the start and the end, the learning point, the beginning, the head-on discussion that all has been done in only and only and only scripture, that are Vedas. That is why the Veda is considered supreme in terms of Pramana. And when Veda is considered as supreme, let me take this book, a scripture that may not extend beyond 1,000 pages, and start reading it, and well, that is it. I got the idea about the reality. That doesn't happen, because to know a thing in toto, you first need to be aware of that thing. You know a mango by reading about a mango, then by seeing about a mango. But both the reading and the seeing about a mango is a paroksha jnana. That means it is a knowledge based on pramanas, not the knowledge based on pratyaksha, which is basically the anubhuti, eating the mango. Brahma Sutra, by having threadbare discussion on the ultimate reality, it gives us an idea of what the ultimate reality is like. And how do we do that? By taking into consideration the highest opinion ever delivered by the other rishis about the nature of reality, and the topmost brains of those rishis have gone in depth to discuss the nature of reality. Their thesis, their hypothesis that they put towards the ultimate nature of reality is nothing else but the glimpse of what they thought the nature of ultimate reality is, which is called darshana. So the stalwarts of each of thought processes, who thought either with the help of Veda or without the help of Veda. When I say without the help of Veda, we're talking about Buddha Dharma, Jaina Dharma, and Charvaka. Well, when we say with the help of Veda, which is called the Astikata, we're talking about the Shadadarshanas, all of them with their mighty force of intellect, each led by the topmost of the rishis of that particular darshana. They have put forth the idea of what the reality actually is. Naturally, if 9 of them have come forward of all the world, of all the ages of mankind, 9 people came forward, 9 rishis came forward to put forth an idea of what the ultimate reality is. Naturally, there ensues a discussion amongst them to know who is right and who is wrong. The ultimate victor or the winner of these discussions amongst the darshanas and the Nastik darshanas would ultimately prove who is the right one based on the absolute logical discussions and in-depth knowledge argumentation, which has led to the samvad. And that is how the one who has come out triumphant as the Advaita Tattva Vedanta is the one who is taking the recourse to the Vedas through the Brahma Sutras to interpret the dialogues and discussions that were there in the Vedas, sifting them away, separating them away from the ritualistic part and a non-ritualistic part, a karma kanda, then the jnana kanda, and then taking head on the jnana kanda and establishing the fact that the statements that are made in jnana kanda in the form of Upanishadic, Vedantic utterances are the only key solution to know the ultimate reality called Brahma. But just because somebody comes forward and says that the Upanishads and their statements are the ultimate source to the reality is not going to be accepted by other darshanakaras unless there is a proper argumentation between the two in the form of Purva Paksha and Siddhanta Paksha. The Samshaya and Samshaya Nivrutti. So the Vishaya of Brahma Sutra is to know what Brahma or the ultimate reality is. And that is how we saw the first 3 sutras. And now, one by one, the arguments are beginning to distinguish between whose saying, whose utterances, whose arguments are superior and acceptable. As a result of which, the first, closest, but powerful argumentator, Purva Mimamsa, the one who believes in the first 3 parts, the Samhita, the Brahmana, and the part of Aranyaka, as the only way of understanding the ultimate reality. Remember, Samhita is nothing else but the prayers to the gods. It appears absolutely superstitious when we see it superficially, that every hymn is dedicated to some god, the god of rain Varuna, the god of conqueror Indra. But these prayers, which are in the melodic form in the form of Samhita, are described in the prose form in the Brahmana, telling us how the intonation and how the pronunciations of these mantras should be done, so that with a perfect pronunciation of these mantras or the words, they have an ability to absolutely make a Druggochar, appear the deity in front of you, which is nothing else but the powerful Devata, the one who can exhibit higher powers than what we are. At present, I may be delimited by the Indriyas that I have, my power may be limited, but by invocation, through the help of Samhita and understanding it through the Brahmana, if I'm able to perform it in a proper form, it is possible for me to ascertain the higher power centers in the creation to be brought into my service or brought under my control. And that is why each yajna, each karma is done to propitiate a god, propitiate a power, so that that power can come and help me in becoming more powerful. Which means that with each advancement, it could be a smaller power whereby I shall do an yajna and get the rains. I can command the rains. Factually, the rains are commanded when they are not to be seen around, but since they can be commanded through the prayers and the mantras, a power is supposed to be behind it, which is now made to please me, and that power has to be given some name, so it is given a name of a god called Varuna. So a sukta dedicated to Varuna and a yajna dedicated to him, if done in a proper fashion along with the proper pronunciations, intonations of the mantra, it is possible that the power can be said to exhibit its powers. Going by the same nature, I can ask for the wealth, I can ask for the rains, I can ask for something else, or I can ask for an yajna and a mantra to make me free from all the worldly sorrows. The state where all the worldly sorrows end is called moksha, because then you are out of the bondages. Moksha, moktum ichha iti moksha. So if the bondages are to be removed, meaning thereby the sorrow is to be annihilated, destroyed forever, it is possible for me to do that through a higher yajna or a higher, which is nothing else but the karma. So the Purva Mimamsa says that entire Veda, which is the prime scripture for us, is again and again mentioning majority portion of the Vedas is dedicated to doing the karma. In fact, so much karma has been described in Veda that karma is the soul of the Veda. So that means nothing that is there in Veda which does not speak of karma. Amnayasya anarthakya. That which is not described as a karma in Veda is useless, because karma alone can give us moksha. Moksha is the highest state that I am asking for. I can ask for smaller states like becoming rich or getting rains or getting something for me. So that means depending upon the adhikar, depending upon the yajna that I do, depending upon the mantra that I do the chanting of, I shall be getting, depending upon the hymns that I am chanting, a different level of power by propitiating those powerful gods and goddesses. And that is where the Karma Kanda comes with the theory that there is nothing else in Veda. It all speaks about karma. Karma can lead you to mukti, moksha. That's it. There is nothing more. However, when Purva Mimamsa comes to the last or the end part of the Veda called Vedanta or Upanishad, that is where there are some utterances which do not make any sense in the form of karma. Tat Tvam Asi. This statement does not speak of any karma. Thou art, you are that. When you are that is said, it does not say anything about what to do. There is no reference to any karma whatsoever. Moment there is no reference to the karma, the Purva Mimamsi jumps to a conclusion that it is a useless statement. Avantar Vakya. It is a useless statement, or it should be maximum interpreted as Upasana Vakya. So how would they interpret thou art that? Tattvamasi? They would interpret it as this way. Thou means the deity. You means you as a karta. You are the deity. That is what says. It means it says, if you do upasana of the devata, you shall be the devata. Thou art that. That is the simplest meaning they take out of it. However, the Uttara Mimamsi or the Advaita Vedanta does not take these statements so lightly. They say these statements, which apparently appear useless for Purva Mimamsa, are so profound in its meaning that they need special treatment. They need special investigation, and it is not something so easy, because these utterances are the compilations of those who have gone beyond the mortal existence into the flights of higher consciousness and then have given these statements to you. Need to trace each statement of Upanishada in a proper manner so that it becomes meaningful for us. And while doing these investigations, Badarayana Rishi or the Vyasamuni or Audalumi, they had to write a treatise to give us the correct meaning of these utterances, which is nothing else but Brahma Sutra. That is why the Uttara Mimamsa says, look at the Aitareya Upanishad, which says, Atma va idam ek eva agra asit. Atmava idam ek eva agra asit, meaning before creation, this universe was but the self that is one. Now it gives two concepts. Imagine Veda in thousands of years back through Upanishads giving a concept that before the creation word itself means creation is after a point. When we say after a point means time. In other words, time is the thing to which we are so bound that we cannot think beyond time. Try thinking. We cannot. To go out of time is not possible for us, because it is as good as we going out of our skin. It is ingrained in our thinking. But that point of time being transient, There was a point when universe was created and the time started. Now, first of all, it is impossible for us to imagine timeless condition. Think about it. Think of a situation where there is no time. We cannot. Why? Because our intellect, the way it is right now, is not competent enough to think on those lines. But yes, the intellect can be made to think like this, provided it is prepared for such kind of thinking. That preparation itself is sadhana. And since it is to be intellectually comprehended, even otherwise, we do not have any other instrument. With our indriyas, we can't do it. It's clear. It's very clear. Where am I going to go and see the time with my eyes? I cannot. In fact, the eyes tell me that it is there. That means it is Vartaman Kal. It is not there. It was there some time back. I saw it. Bhutkal. That means my indriyas are already embedded in the time. So with these indriyas, I cannot go beyond time. So the only way for me to go beyond time is by somehow using my intellect, because that is the only superior, most ability endowed instrument that we have. If somehow I'm able to prepare my intellect to a level whereby I'm able to comprehend the time by being separate from the time. To comprehend a thing, you have to be away from that thing. So if I'm able to go away from time, which means beyond time, I shall be able to comprehend the time. If I'm able to comprehend the time, then I will be able to know when the universe started, because now I'm out of it. It's a person who went inside the water. He's deeply embedded in the water. Now he wants to know how big the river is. Where is the bank of the river? How big, how wide the river is? When he is inside the water, he will never be able to know that. He has to come out of the water, see the water, and then come to the conclusion, oh, this is this wide a river this is. We are immersed in time. We will never be able to know the time unless we come out of the time. Coming out of the time is the process. That is why a statement like Atma va idam ek eva agra asit says, before creation of this universe was but the self that is one. That means the ultimate reality has nothing to do with what is within the time. That means ultimate reality cannot be sought as long as we are within the time. The only way to know the reality is to go out of the time. To go out of the time means to go out of the creation. Our concept of creation presupposes time and space. It gives us two fundamental questions. One, first of all, this creation in which time and space is so imminent and so important, is it real? And if it is false, is there some other universe which has no time and space but it is real? And the third possibility is there is no creation at all. With time, without time, true creation, false creation, there is no creation at all. See the possibilities. This is through tarka. We don't know. We're just logically trying to find out. One thing I know, my world has time and space. Just take out time and space, my world will collapse. So my world is bound by time and space. If this is a false world, so when I come out of this world, is there another world I see, or I don't see anything? And if time and space is a false world, which will be sublated, which will be destroyed when I go out of this world, then is it my mind's creation? If it is my mind's creation, then the science tells me that the human beings have come on this earth hardly 100 million years ago. 400 million years ago, 1 billion years ago, 2 billion years ago, 10 billion years ago, there was no human being. But the planets and the stars were there. That means the world was there. So it can't be simply my mind that is thinking that the world is existing. If my mind is what thinks, which is called Chidvad, idealism, if my mind thinks that's why the world is existing, then this mind to this developed extent was not there as per the evolution. So does that mean when the human beings were not so intelligent, the world was not existing? Because mind is nothing else but an apparatus which keeps on evolving, and it is fully evolved apparently in our head as of date, as of the current human beings, Manav Janma. Which brings a statement that the world was existing even before the mind comprehended it. That means realism. The world had an existence, has an existence, but not the way we think it has an existence. World appears on Brahma. Vivartavad says that world is not there, it appears. All right, this appearing world is false. But is there a non-appearing but true world? Non to discuss that point. That is the point which the Upanishadic statements are stating us, is what Advaita Vedanta says. And Purva Mimamsa is trying to make it karma-oriented statements. That is why Advaita Vedanta is staunchly in opposition with that. Again, in the Bhashyam stand, he says in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a statement which says, Tat etat brahma apurvam na param na antaram na bahyam. The Brahma is without prior or posterior, without the interior or the exterior. Now it appears a very simple statement. The Brahma is all pervading, vibhuhu. We keep doing the prayers also. We do not apply the intellect to know what profound this statement is. Can we ever imagine anything which has no front, no back, no posterior, no anterior, no interior, no exterior? Tadu sarvasya antarasya tadu sarvasya bahyatah, Ishavasyopanishad. How a thing can have nothing on the back, nothing on the front, nothing inside, nothing outside? Can you imagine a thing like this? It is absolutely impossible even to imagine. Existence is a different thing. Imagination. There is a thing that has no interior, no exterior, no front, no back, no anterior, no posterior, no above, no below. It boggles the mind. You can't even imagine that. Tad etad Brahma. That is what the Upanishad says. That is Brahma. Now, ability of our intellect to imagine something which has no front, back, anterior, posterior, above, below, it's called Disha. Disha means what? North, east, west, above, below. These are all Dishas. Disha is direction. A thing has a direction, anterior, posterior, all these are possible when it is embedded in space. Existence, as described as by us, is only in relation with the space. Of course, time, but space. You have to exist within the space, then the space will give you directions. Now, if everything in this creation exists in the space, in what does the space exist? Think. Everything is existing in space, agreed. The sun, the stars, the planet, there's a huge space called Akash. First tattva, Akash. And these things are existing in that space. There is a space available so you and me can be apart. When the space is not there, how can you be apart? And this space which is there, that includes everything. Mahat Tattva is Akash. All right. But the Akash exists in what? See, Brahma Sutra, when we are studying, we find it difficult, but the Rishis or the saintly people, when they realize the truth, they say it in very simple words. There is a Sufi who says this same philosophy in a very simple words. He says, Chali samte gaib se ek hawa ke chaman surur ka jal gaya. Samte gaib, what is the meaning samte gaib? Gaib means gayab. Gayab is lost. Samte means disha, samat, daya, baya, upar, nicha. These are called samat. Samte gaib, chali samte gaib se ek hawa. That means I got knowledge. I got hawa coming from where? From that place where there are no directions existing. That means from the Brahma. चली समते गए बस एक हवा के चमन सुरूर का जल गया. That means the whole creation got dissolved. This is the statement made by Brahma Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Ayamatma Brahma Sarvanubhuhu. This Atma, perceiver of everything, is Brahma, is a statement in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Similarly, in Mundaka Upanishad, Brahma eva Vedam Amrutam Purastat. All that is in front is Brahma, the immortal. Amrutatvam, Amrutam Purastat. These statements are being given by Acharya in the arguments because he says, what does this statements mean? Where is the karma in these statements? Brahma evam vedam amrutam purastat. Where is the karma? He's not talking about karma. Purva Mimamsa is not going to leave it so easily. He says, yeah, Brahma itself means mukti, moksha. So they are saying Brahma eva vedam. That means Brahma is the only upasya thing. You worship the Brahma to get the mukti. That is what it is saying. So it is a karma. Acharya says, no. By doing anything, you will not get the Brahma. His argument is, when you stop doing anything, you will get karma. You will get Brahma. In this created world, everything that is highest attainable can be attained by karma. But beyond this world, for the reality, you will have to practice not doing anything. See the diametrically opposite view about the reality. To obtain the ultimate reality, Purva Mimamsak says you will have to do something, karma. Because everything in this world is obtainable by karma. Right now in our life also we are doing karma, that is why we are getting the results. But instead of this mundane life, suppose you want to get mukti, for that also you will have to do karma. Like puja, archa, upasana, all that you have to do and you will get mukti. Khalas, the philosophy ends. Acharya or Advaita Vedanti says, no sir, Doing karma cannot give you the glimpse of ultimate reality. In fact, ultimate reality is fathomable only when you don't do anything. And that is why it says, Nacha tad gatanam padanam brahma swarupa vishaye nischite samanvaya avagamyamane arthantara kalpana yukta shruta hanya ashruta kalpana prasangat. Shankaracharya says, when these statements are so clearly talking about Brahma, then to interpret them as karma or karma kanda is nothing else but you are getting a dosha. Because what is stated you are not accepting, and what is not stated you are accepting, which is a dosha. That is what the Uttar Mimamsa is saying. That is the reason why Acharya is trying to say that you cannot be interpreting these statements as karma but as a Brahma. Nacha tesham kartru devatadi swarupa pratipadana parata avasiyate. Again, Acharya is giving a very simple thing. Tattvamasi sadeva soumya brahma agre aset. There is no karta in these statements. In the Upanishadic utterances, there is no karta. For example, a statement like Tatakena kam pashet in Bruhadarak Upanishad, there is a statement called Tat Ken kam pashet. That time, what would he see by what? Kena kam pashet. In this statement, there is no karta in the sense that at that time, who will see what? By what? This is the description about hinting of Brahma. When Brahman or the ultimate reality, when somebody ascends to ascertain the reality, that time, who will see and by what? That means seeing has ended, instrument of seeing has ended. When such statements are there is no karta into it. And when there is no karta, how karma will happen? Second argument given by Acharya. न च परिनिष्ठत वस्तु स्वरूपत्वे अपि प्रत्यक्षादि विषयत्वं ब्रह्मणः. Brahma is an established entity. Although it is not an object of perception, it is a positive entity which can be known only through Shastra and statements like Tattvamasi. This is the argument that is coming from Acharya himself. Now the question is, if this is so, then why is it that Ved is devoting majority of portion towards the yajna and other things? To that, the Acharya is giving the answer like this. Devatadi pratipadana parasya tu swavakya gato upasanarthatva apina kaschit virodha. Yes, there are statements in Veda which talks about upasana of the Deva and Devata. It is there. Regarding dhyana and upasana, there are ample statements there in Veda, but they are hinting at upasana at occasional places. That doesn't mean those utterances which are talking about Brahma are meant for upasana. The whole argument between Purva Mimamsak and Uttar Mimamsak is entirely on one point: whether Brahma is upasya or not upasya. Whether Brahma is obtainable or ascertainable. See the subtle difference between the two. Is it praptavya or is it jnatavya? Anything that is praptavya, karma has to be done for that. And Purva Mimamsak says it is obtainable. How? You can obtain smaller powers, higher powers. You can get yajna and make the rains to come. You can do Jyotishtomi yajna and get Swarga Prapti. So everything is Praptavya. Similarly, Moksha is also Praptavya. Brahma is also Praptavya. Brahma is also obtainable. By doing what karma? Upasana of Brahma. But Acharya says, na tu tatha brahmana upasana vidisheshatva sambhavati. That doesn't mean that Brahma is also obtained by upasana. Why? Why it is not obtainable by upasana? Ekatve heya upadaya shunyataya kriya karakadi dvaita vijnana upamardaha upapattate. Because of the knowledge of Advaita or Ekatva, since there remains nothing to take or throw away, karma karta ityadi dvaita jnana is sublated. When there is some vidhi, kriya, in every kriya there is something that is done and something that is not done. You look at any karma, whether it is a karma of doing study, karma of drinking, eating, in that there is something you do, something you don't do. That means there is either a tyajya or svikarharha. Svikaryarha, either svikruti or tyag, giving away something or taking something is a part of the karma. In case of Advaita, since there is no karma and karta, there is nothing tyajya or svikarya, so it is not a vidhi, it is not a karma. This is the argument of Shankaracharya. Why? For us also it is important to understand, although we have not reached the level of Brahma Jidnyasa, we are studying about it. So we can think like this. Supposing that we have already had the Chitta Shuddhi through Upasana, etc., etc. Is the journey complete? I am the most pious man doing no adharma, doing no papam. Is it the end? I'm done? Because I'm only punyavan now. I'm not doing any papam. According to Purva Mimamsa, yes, you have ended your journey. You have reached moksha. According to Uttar Mimamsa, sorry sir, you just started with your final journey. After being Chitta Shuddha or pious or whatever we call it, the journey starts. And in that journey, you move from Dvaita, where you were doing the Yajna. Yajna was a different thing. Phalam was the third thing. All these separatedness, all this Dvaita, me and others, is all going to go, and you are going to reach a stage where there is no karta, there is no karma. When I sit into the meditation and try to reach beyond upasana, at that point of time, I actually try to go beyond karma. In that process, I start as me trying to attain the Brahma or trying to know the Brahma. So I start like that. But as I progress, bit by bit, me is dissolved, and bit by bit, other or upasya or whatever is also dissolved. So, just to take an analogy, may not be perfect, but still an analogy. A Vishnu Murti Shaligram is in front of me. I am meditating. So I am Dr. Jadhav. Shaligram is Vishnu. In fact, it is a stone. I am calling it as a Vishnu by Bhava Bhavana. As I start moving forward in my meditation, the process of meditation, which is upasana, is the process when I try to think that that shaligram which is having Vishnu is nothing else but the Vishnu, and that Vishnu is me. Aham graha upasana. As a result, consciousness in me will be chiseled out bit by bit, and Dr. Jadhav doing upasana of Shaligram, this so-called entity of sadhak or Dr. Jadhav will slowly start dissolving. So there will be 1%, 1%, 1% diminution in the entity of the upasak. Also, there will be 1%, 1% diminution in the image or the murti called Vishnu. So one side, the Vishnu will start dissolving, separatedness. One start, the sadhak will start dissolving bit by bit, and a stage will come when I am not existing, Vishnu is not existing, and in any case, when I started the upasana, that time rest of the world was anyway not existing. So what will be the state that will be achieved? There is no upasak, there is no upasya, and other than upasak, upasya, rest of the world had already vanished. What will be the result? The result will be, what will be the result? We cannot even describe the result, because how will you describe the result? Nothing is there. Upasak is not there. Upas is not there. World is not there. Only not there, not there you can say. What is there, what is there? You cannot say. Neti, neti. Na iti, na iti, na iti. Very difficult to imagine. Very difficult to imagine a state where nothing is existing, yet you exist. How can you exist when nothing is existing? The only possible explanation is existence is you. Think. Nothing is existing. Agreed? One part. Second is everything is existence. When everything is existence, nothing is existing. From the standpoint of the one who is only existing, other than him, nothing is existing. When nothing is existing, he is only existing. When nothing exists and he only exists, how does he know his existence? That is called swa-samvednyata. Self-cognizance of one's own presence. This is Sat part of the Satchit Ananda. Sat is he only exists, and he only self-cognizes his own existence without any effort, Chit part of it. And such own existence verified by own self is always full of a state which does not force anything within him, and that state cannot be described by words, so it is called Anand. What is Ananda? Dukkham is absent, agreed. Even Sukham is absent, because without Dukkham, Sukham has got no value. I am Sukhi. Today I am very happy. Why? Yesterday I was unhappy. Because there is an unhappiness. Always to compare, then only happiness. How can you say that I'm happy, I have got a child born to me? Because there is somebody without the child. The barren woman makes it possible to the fertile woman a comparison that I have got child. If suppose everybody is barren in this world, nobody is having child, will we be happy that I have got a child? No. That means everything here is on a comparative basis. In Dvandva, there has to be a duality to it, then only we enjoy. But now the state that I am talking about is self-cognized swa-samvedya astitva. Now, such an astitva, will it be happy or sad? The question of happiness and sadness doesn't arise at all. No, but there has to be something, because why would somebody remain in that state? Again, human mind. Just to satisfy that answer, the third attribute is given as Ananda. What is Ananda? Ananda is being there and knowing that you are there itself leads to a state called Ananda. Don't try to say that Anandam is all happiness. Happiness has got no relation whatsoever with Ananda. Dukkham, that to anyway is absent. Anand, the happiness, the sukham, that is also absent. Absence of sukham and dukkham, difficult to imagine. We cannot even think of that state. Can we? Just think about it. Think about a state where there is no happiness, there is no sorrow. We cannot. Why? We are bound by happiness and sorrow. That is why dvandvatitam. Then you will become Gagana Sadrusham. Not Gagana. No Gagan, no sky. Gagana Sadrusham, like. Because that's the maximum thing we know. There's nothing beyond sky we know. Beyond Akasha, we do not know anything. Within the Akasha, we don't know anything. What to talk about without Akasha? So something like the sky, actually, which is much beyond the sky, is the state, and that is why the Advaita Vedanti is now going to say, Acharya is trying to establish, look, are you satisfied now, Purvamimamasi, that the Upanishads and the Brahma Sutras are clearly mentioning that there is a Jnana Kanda, it is not karma. Karma alone, karma has got no place whatsoever in the Brahma or no Brahma. But Purva, so the Purva Mimamsak is bouncing back with its own arguments. Purva Paksha is coming to fight with Shankaracharya. What is that Purva Paksha? Is Hariyo. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Muchyate Purnavashyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Yonam Hariyo.
Hari Om. Sanjay ji, can you hear me? Yeah. When we say Sadeva Saumya Idam Agre Asid, there lies a point of time actually. Although it is said Agre, Agre means a point of time is very much evident there, isn't it?
No, that is because of our understanding of the Sanskrit word agra. Agra is in front, is what we interpret it as. Agra, the real meaning of agra is prime, that which is always ahead. So in that sense, Sadaiva Soumya Agre Asit. Agre Asit means not in front of me. That is called Purastat. What is in front of me is At. Agre means that which is prime is always there. That means Brahma is always there. Again, this is because of the difference in the Sanskrit word meaning. That is why the word Agraja, born before you, is called Agraja. Your elder brother is called Agraja. Agra means born before me. That means that is which is before me. So Sadaiva Soumya Agre Asit means that which is before everybody is always there. That means Brahma, which is Vibhuru Vyapti. Hari.
Yeah, so that is okay. Now, when we come to the karma, Bhagavad Gita is very categorically declaring that what is that? Nahi kaschid shanamabi jadu tishtatya karma krita. That is a fact, and we are all are experiencing it.
Yes.
So what about when we compare this study to this our Bhagavad Gita stanza? How do we compare that?
The answer lies in your question itself. You said Nahi Kashchit Kshanam Apyatu. The one who is within the time, Kshanamapi, one who is Kshana Bahya, there is no karma.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We have to be very careful. Nahi Kashchit Kshanamapi Jatu. Kshanam means you are time bound. If you are time bound, you cannot escape karma. In other words, Kshana Bahya Asti Chet Karma
Okay.
Tishtati. Kshana Bahya Asti Chet. If you are out of the time, then karma is not. Nahi Kashchit Kshanamapi Jatu. Bhagavad Gita will never ever make a mistake. So each word is important this way. Hari Om.
Okay. So when again Yadai Damsi Samidokni, that stanza, all karma is burned with jnana, isn't it? All karmas are burned with jnana. This is the point we are going ahead.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hari Om, Sanjay ji. Before I forget that, when you are mentioning, narrating about the Agre Pashami in response to Rajendranji's narration, in Narayaniyam, Melpatur is starting the Narayaniyam sloga with Agre Pashami Dejo, Nibitara Kalaya Avali Lobhaniyam, Piyu Shapla Vidoham Tadanutare Divya, Kashore Vesham. That Agre is coming ultimate. And my doubt here is that we have mentioned about that without dukham, no existence of sukham. It is confirmed. I mean, it is realistic. Now, when you say that anandam, when you mentioned this anandam definition, you have mentioned about the gagana sadrusham also. There is one sloga, Shandagaram gagana sadrusham. I mean, if you can just give a glimpse of that, I'd be grateful.
Gagana Sadhu.
Sanjay, before you go ahead, let me interpret it in another way. Then you explain, because Agre Pashyami is the 100th stanza in Narayaniyam. After performing all karmas, then finally Melpatur is witnessing Bhagavan. He is realizing Bhagavan. That is the point we are coming to actually through this study. Agre Pashyami is the final one which we can rely on, because after going all these karmas, finally Bhagavan, I am seeing you right in front of me. This is that. Now you can explain.
Agre Pashami, when we are in the Upasana phase, essentially the Upasya Devata is separate from the Upasaka. When we are in the Upasaka-Upasya relationship, then the Upasya is considered to be the ultimate reality as Narayana, Bhagavan, Vishnu, whatever. In that case, being Ahangraha Upasana, what you see in front or agre pashyami is nothing else but the upasya devata. Now the biggest debate that the Jnana Margi has is, he says, agreed. You are in a state where you have the Lord in front of you and Lord has actually been seen by you. Agreed. The question now is, what next? Acharya is of the opinion that the God, once you see, then climb on his shoulder and go beyond. Vivekananda Maharaj also says the same thing. However, those who are into Bhakti Marga, they, while doing the upasana of the upasya, get involved with the upasya to such an extent that the Ananda Shakti becomes predominant in the Bhakta. When Jnani is doing upasana, Ananda Vritti is not to the maximum, so he is able to cross over and go towards the Jnanam, the Satchit aspect. While the Bhakta, while doing the upasana, transcends Jnana also and prefers to remain in relationship with the Upasya Devata, which is nothing else, Brahma modified into the Upasya Devata. And he maintains that I want to be in this relation, I am not interested in the mukti at all. That is why the Vaishnava Sampradaya actually uses the bad word for mukti, saying that, hey mukti, hey salvation, hey moksha, if you come in my way, I will beat you, because don't come in my way. I don't want to be a mukta. I want to be in relationship with my Lord. That is called Jnanottar Bhakti. See, so far we are studying how to reach realization of Brahma. Agreed. But Brahma has its own Shakti also. Satchit Ananda are nothing else but the Shakti. Now, to be a part of his Shakti is also Brahmi Bhutata. To be without the part of the Shakti is also Brahmi Bhutata. Which one you will prefer depend upon the person who has become Brahma with. He may become a bhakta like Prahlada and come down and say that I want to remain as a Prahlada. That is why it is called Jnanottar Bhakti. Jnanottar Bhakti is entirely the domain of Bhakta. It is not a separate entity. Bhakta is not separate entity. Bhakta is nothing else but the extension of Parameshwara in the human form. So Bhakta is, that is why, where do I stay, Arjuna? Narada, to Narada, Lord is replying, I stay in the heart of the Bhakta. What does that mean? He has to obey, follow everything that the Bhakta says. The reason being, Bhakta is the extension of the Lord after Jnana Prapti, which is, this entire discussion is a part of Bhakti Marga, which we are not currently considering. Currently, our contention is only restricted to Jnana Marga, apprehension of Brahma or the reality, for which Upasana alone, and this Upasana is, we are talking about Jnana Purva Upasana. We are not talking about Jnanottar Bhakti. Jnana Purva Upasana alone is not enough. Beyond that lies the Jnanam. That is the contention here. And to compare this, during the Upasana stage, you can always say that Pashyami Agre Vishnu, possible. Yes, even Vishnu will come and you will have a darshana also. But if it is Purva Jnana, like in case of Namdev Maharaj, he used to talk directly with Panduranga. He was talking directly with Panduranga. He was feeding Panduranga what to talk. But when Jnaneshwar's younger sister, barely 14-year-old, told Namdev Maharaj that you are a half-baked pot, he went back and fought with Panduranga that this small girl is now insulting your bhakta. What is happening? And Panduranga said, I am sorry, Namdeva. She is a jnani and she is telling you that you are without guru. He said, Panduranga, you are my own guru. He said, no, I am God. I am not guru. You will have to go to the guru. And then Namdev Maharaj went to Visoba Khechar, who became his guru and gave him Brahmajnana. That is the difference. Hari Om.
Hari Om.